Welcome back to CEO Reflex. After our last episode with Ludmila, when we explored the human side of leadership and well-being, something became really clear. There are still many aspects of the human experience that leaders don't talk about enough, especially when they directly affect people at work. One of those overlooked realities is vision impairments. It's far more common than we realize, and at some point in our lives, most of us will face changes in our sight or know someone or does. Yet, the workplace is still not prepared. How would you react if your best friend ends up suffering with vision impairment? What would be your words toward this person? Leaders are not trained for it. HR doesn't anticipate it enough, and employees often hide it with fear. And this is why today's topic matters. It's not just about health, it's about inclusion, communication, culture, and the kind of workplace we want to build. And to help us make sense of this, in this episode, we are joined with Veronica Alves-Cardoso, an orthoptist with years of experience supporting people through vision impairment. And she will bring to this episode practical insights, human stories, and a perspective that leaders usually need to hear. I'm Fiona, and this is CEO Reflex. Veronica, can you say a little bit words about you and what you're doing?
I'm Veronica, and my job is orthoptist. No one knows what it is. I work basically with people that has strabismus or low lazy eye, and I need to do treatments around it, and everything that I can manage, like neurologic disorders and related to the eyes, I do it.
Okay, thank you. I think that we start talking after I recorded an episode with Ludmila Parek, and we were talking about the human aspects of more innovation. And you reached out to me after. Why did you want to come on this podcast today?
As I told you, as orthoptist, work also with people with vision impairment. The vision impairments can be in different kind of situations and different ages. And I also I'm big buddy, and I run with people that are blind. And I have this idea because they have a lot of problems to be included in the social life and the work life. And most of the time, because of the lack of information in both sides, I think that our society don't have a lot of information about those kind of disabilities. And also in the work life, the people don't get in contact with disabilities in daily. That's the reason.
And have you ever had a coworker that lost his vision during the time of his job?
I don't work with people, blind people or people with vision impairment direct. I just run with them, but I don't work. It's really something that I don't see people with disabilities in the work life. Even in the health sector.
That is scary sometimes. Yes. Do you think that, for example, is it a fear of communication that these people have? Maybe with your experience with the people that you run with, what are they experience in their daily life?
The problem, what I was talking with the person that I always go jogging and run, he said that I think the most problem is the people, they don't know it. And for example, people that lose the vision the old time, they don't know how to communicate it also. And they are afraid. They don't have any kind of support to communicate to the boss and saying, I'm losing my vision. You just struggle with your work and you try to do your best, and the people around see that something happened, but they don't know how to say it because they don't understand what is happening with this. And in the health service is also a problem because sometimes we know that they have some genetic problem, but there is no information or not really a connection between what is happening to this person and what the person can do to prepare herself in the work life in the future. And I think that is really the problem in both sides. If you don't have the connection each day with someone else that have vision impairment, you just don't know what it is. And if you don't see those people and if you don't see those kind of problems often on TV or daily, it's difficult to understand more about it.
But I think that I liked when you talked about that of course, it's sometimes when you grow older that you can start to have vision impairments, but also younger generation tend to have also difficulties with vision. And I think it's part of the hard to communicate. And sometimes at work, we can see that we are afraid of the vision. I think it's going to be the word of the day, the vision of our colleagues on us. And I don't know if you talked about this. Have you ever talked about this subject with people that are in HR, for example? What is their opinion about hiring people with vision impairments?
I never talk about, because I never had the possibility to have an open talk about it. And that's one of the reasons that I ask you to give me the opportunity to talk about it. I just think that the people are not really interesting, because that is something different. And for the society, it's really difficult to understand or to accept what is different. It's, for example, a child that has strabismus, and it's difficult for the parents or for the people around to understand, okay, there is a problem. They don't have any control about it. They are born like this, and they need to be part of the society, and they are never accepted. And when you are born with vision impairment, you don't ask to have those problems. And sometimes the people don't understand that those people, they have a lot of capacities to do things, and we just block them, or we just think that they are not capable, but they are capable for more than we think, maybe in another way. But that is the question, why the people, they don't have interest to know more about it, and in all kind of aspects, because all of us, we can has in the future or tomorrow or today in some minutes vision impairments or other kind of impairments, and how we can live. We can't expect that government go pay everything for us, because we have life, we are independent, we can do all the things. Our body moves in another way, our brain works, and why we can make part of the normal life as everyone.
I think you said one word at one point, it was capabilities, that we show that we are capable of doing the work, even if we have an impairment. And I think it's sadly, it's the society that we live in, that sometimes CEOs or leaders will prefer efficiency, to be fast at doing the task, than making sure that kind of validate the person's capabilities. But do you agree with this statement that sometimes that maybe we should focus more on the person than just going fast and going through reaching a goal super fast?
I'm 100% convinced that it's necessary, but it's just not only with people with impairments in general. I think that we need to think more. We are not machines. We are people, we are persons. Even the machines, they can't work efficiently all the time. They can break up, they need to have manutention. And why we are as person, we don't need time. We don't need time to think. To think, to have ideas, we need time. We need to rest our brain to do something else, and then recuperate to have ideas to do something work. And it's not that the person that has a vision impairment, with the correct material, they can work even better or even good as everyone. And the only thing is they need to have some adaptation. The workplace needs to have some adaptation. And I think that it's much better also to understand, or to let people understand, they also need to stop and see that their lives can change. And I think that it's the inclusion of people with impairments in the work life give also the possibility to us to understand in the social way that it's important. Remember, we are just persons and we can make mistakes, and sometimes we need to have more time, sometimes we can be more predictable, but everything, we need to be more open for this, and it's just give a little bit time and more flexibility to do the work, and they do the work maybe much better than us that can have all tools to work well. It's just a question of give the opportunity to the people, show what they can.
How should they communicate to their colleagues or their superior that they have this impairment, but it's not a stone in the shoe that is gonna drag them or making them be less efficient.
One of the first things, as you said, communication is the key. We need to communicate and we need to be open to say what is struggling us, independently which kind of work you do, independently of your problem. But I think that it's also, has a problem is difficult to communicate already. If you have some kind of people, they can be really open, say, okay, I have a problem, I need to say it. But some kind of people, they have problems to communicate. And it's difficult for me to say how they need to do it. I just think that we need to make people aware that there are problems in the work life with other people. And maybe the people or the CEOs or the HR, how I say, from the highest HR, I don't know, that they have, maybe the company, they need to find a way to get those people close to them, that we have the doctor, the work doctor, but I know that not all companies, they can pay it. It's difficult to have a doctor that take care of the problems from the people all the time and pay it. It costs money. But the question is how the company can be more open, or how the CEO can be open to let people know about what is happening to them. Because if you know that the people, they can have some disabilities and they have a lot of responsibilities and they don't know how to communicate it, it needs to come from another person that maybe know that can happen and can open the door to let the people come in. And if we start already with some kind of conscientization in the work life that comes from top, it's much easier from the people that are on the lowest of the lowest state take the first step to communicate about those problems, because it can happen also with a CEO. If a CEO has these problems, he will communicate the problem.
Yeah.
And it's something that can happen for all of us, but we never think about it till the time or the moment that it happens and what we do.
I think it's fair to say that even the CEO or the executive person that has this role can also feel this kind of fear of sharing, because they always have their boards, they always have investors, and also the clients that feel that they are superhumans and they can do everything. So I think it's also, it's not just an employee, but I think at every step of the company, we can feel this type of fear of sharing and communication. And in the ideal world, how do you see an inclusive workplace for people that have vision impairments? What do you think that companies today, after this podcast, what should they do to make?
It was really funny because when I saw one day CEO talking, I was only think about him. He's saying everything, it's, if I do this and I'm gonna lose time and I'm gonna lose money, it's gonna cost me so much. And I was just thinking, I was looking at this and I was just thinking, okay, I'm not from the company or the economic world, I'm from the health service. But yeah, we need to work with in financial, in the normal life. We need our house is already an enterprise and we need to manage everything without knowing it. And when I was singing it, I was like, okay, it's like the life is really objective. Everything needs to go like this, but no one knows that we can't control our lives. We just think that we control, but we can't control. And then if you get sick, you don't control it. Even if you would like to be really profitable today, yes, you are sick, you can't go to work, you can't be profitable today. And that's it. And that's normal. We need to accept it. I think that the companies, how I would include people on the company, first of all, give the people the possibility to talk. There are a lot of, each country, they have the institutions that try to put those people on the marketplace. When you publish a job ad on them, you always can open up and say, we would like to have people also with vision impairments or the kind of impairments. I don't know. You can go direct straight to the head for the institutions that work already with people impairments and ask them what's the possibility. We are looking for those kind of persons. Can you give us the opportunity to have those people with us. Second thing, it's really important, the time. You just don't think that those people are going to work at the same time that someone else doesn't work, someone else that doesn't have any problems. It's really, the time is important. Flexibility is important. We need to give them more flexibility. Sometimes they can be on place to work, sometimes not possible. The people that has vision impairments, for example, they are really sensible to sounds. Then they can't work in a place that are a lot of people talking, and because they need to concentrate about what they are doing. They have sometimes only different kind of computer, but the investment that you do for a normal computer for the other employees, you also can do for those people. I don't know, you need to give them more time to do some kind of tasks. And if you know that they are not capable to do something that you ask, you also can change the task that he can be better. And we can start like this. And that is also from the governments, that are also the possibility to ask help, to include those people in the workplace. And it's just a question of seeing which kind of need you have in your company, and open your mind to ask, to see around what the people can do in your work for you. And the inclusion also come with group and say, look, we are giving the first opportunity for those people to work with us, and in the way that the other employees also can embrace the calls and be together and doing the same and help each other to make it work. And I think that it's benefit from all of not only for the company, but really for the group, because we are facing problems each day. When you think you have a burnout because we have a lot of work, maybe the person not close us can help us out to do other kind of, or to work a little bit less because the time is necessary. And when you see a CEO that employees is having problems like burnouts or those kind of things because they have a lot of stress in life, it's okay to say to them, okay, we give you some time to recuperate yourself, and others maybe can stay doing the work without any problems. But the problem, I think that in the work life, you're always thinking, I don't know if it's my opinion only, but I have the feeling that they are like in competition with each other. It's not like work to have real community work, like in the Indian way, they help each other. We just need to help each other. We need to stop to fight each other for a place on the top. It's the company needs to grow up, but it doesn't grow up alone. It's a group around the company that make it work. And if we start already with inclusion, I think that we can go better in another way to make people to have more, to be happy in the work that they do.
I think you touched on something that is truly happening, that I think that there is competition in every part of our day to day. And I think that now more and more companies are working on this culture aspect, the well-being of their employees, and hopefully the inclusion and inclusivity of everybody. And you mentioned earlier the small cost of maybe have a different computer. Maybe one thing that we can reassure the leaders and the people working in HR that we're gonna reach out with this podcast. I don't think that there are huge costs attached to making the workplace more inclusive. Do you agree with me?
Yes, 100%. Like this, there's not a lot of cost. The problem is the only to want to include those people.
Yeah.
It's not like always like this.
And hopefully we are less than 10 days away from 2026 at the time that we're recording this episode. And I think that we need to start to open the doors mentally and to these different aspects in the workplace environment. And I think this is maybe one of the, in the goal wall that we can have in our companies is, of course, sometimes we see these things that we need to have one person that has disability because it's part of the big companies have sometimes this type of goals. But I think it's really to be more human. And I think it's important, even today with the age of AI, maybe just one question. How do you see AI working with that we're going to use AI to replace these people? And this is not what we want. It's just that maybe sometimes AI can just help. So how do you see that?
I see AI a little bit like Ludmila said. I see AI like a help to make you lose less time to do some kind of work. But it's not replaceable from the woman being, because you can replace someone else to do the work, or you think that you can replace someone else to do the work, but AI doesn't know everything. And even if one day it will be like this, why would be the need to have people in this world? And that's the question. And the AI is also in environment, not really something that we could say good for the environment. And how long the AI can really be replaceable all the time, 100%. If you need to have, I don't know, I think there's a lot of computers that work together and a lot of water that needs to be used to make it work. And if each company would replace people instead to use AI to do the work, I don't know if our, how I say, world is not world, but our planet would allow it. Then actually, I think that we are growing up really fast what says technology, but we are forgetting the social basics. And these things, for the technology to work, we need to have our basics social way to live. Why? Because we need the people to make it work. And the AI doesn't work alone. Maybe it needs to have someone else that needs to click a button to think about, I don't know how it works, but there is always a human race behind it that needs to manage something. And that is the thing, how a company would be allowed to work only with AI. The social part is necessary. We need to work with people. We are born to be social. It's not to be at home. Otherwise, it doesn't need to be here in the planet. And only have a social life and you do LCOCF, you go around the world with a group, or to have a social life is the same thing in the work. We need to have a social life. Otherwise, we don't have any kind of way to be here in the planet. We don't have any, I don't know the words to be here. We need to have something to do for others. And that's the reason the AI can help a lot, for sure. They can help a lot, even those people with vision impairments or other kinds of impairments. It can make some kind of things easier and faster, but it doesn't mean that gonna replace people in the work that they do. It's just use it as a tool to make it easier, or maybe to lose less time. But the social life in the companies is stay necessary.
The human interaction is part of our daily life. I know for myself, work mostly remote, and it's true that sometimes being connected only with a machine is something that is good. Of course, it's helpful because we can be everywhere in the world working together, but I will never prefer being behind the computer than being with my teammates.
It's the first signs they get really isolated. They get isolated. As colleague, you can feel that the person is struggling to do the work and to make it work. The first sign, there are the first signs that you see that the person is getting problem. And then, yes, you can start to talk with them and see what is happening. It's something happening with you. Because those people, unfortunately, they don't have, even in the health service, they don't have all the time the possibility to contact, for example, psychologists, to have the first interaction and to say how I deal with it. And also sometimes we have the work doctors that in some kind of companies it's possible to talk with them, but it's not all the time the case. And in that situation, as colleague, your other colleagues struggling in this way, it's most of the time they get in depression, that the work is not going well. And sometimes it's better to know, okay, it's happening with this person, it's only this problem because she has a lot of work, or it's something else. And then I think that is the way, like the CEO, CFO, or to get in contact with the person and try to open up and to see what is happening with this.
And I think that, as you say, it's one of the things that we can recognize is someone is going to be more
isolated if they have this type of impairments? And are there other things that leaders should pay attention in their team to recognize the small steps? How I'm not going to exclude this person. What advice can you give to the leaders about to recognize those people?
The moment that they recognize, they need to be open and to let the people say what they need, because it's really difficult to put in the place of another person if you don't have the problem, you don't know what is happening. Then in that situation, the communication is the first thing that we need to be open up. And then there is also the institutions that work out with the people with the different kind of vision impairments, because the vision impairment doesn't mean that it's only one way. I don't see. There are people that can see, but they don't see enough to see the things that it's in one program, and the program needs to be adaptable to the situation. Yeah. And I think that the key is really the communication between the employee and the CEO, CFO, and HR, and then do everything to make it work. And how you have institutions, and institutions, maybe if the person is not already in those kind of institutions, as CEO, you can also take the first step and say, look, I know there is some institutions that can help us to make the work that you need to do work for you. Then how can you go? How can we do it together? And then try with those institutions, have someone else that go on the place to make, for example, checklist about what they need to have to continue doing the job. And if the job from him, it's still possible or not. And if it's not possible, where could I place this employee on my company? What he could do different in the company? And all the thing that I would like to say that is also important, a lot of people with vision impairment, they can have high diplomas, but they don't have work. And that is really sad, because they don't even get the possibility to show what they can do. And that's the big problem. Just need to know, to be flexible, to see what is the type of job that they can do. They can continue do it, and they can grow in that job. Because sometimes they think, okay, we have a vision impairment, we are good, I do my job good, but I would like to grow up. I would like to do something different. Why not can I be higher as someone else? That is not the case. When they have the job, they stay, they're really faithful to the job. But the chance to grow up in the specialization that they have, it's really low. And I think that to make the workplace more inclusive, it's also really give the opportunity to the people show what they can. If they need to be adapted, you can ask for help from the government. There is institutions that can help you up to make it work for your employee. And then if you see that the person has more capacity to do something else and would like to do something else, why not give him the possibility to grow up in the place or in the function that they are doing? I think that the inclusion is not only put people in the workplace, but really the people it's seen as someone else it's healthy and sees normally. That is for me, it's the 100% inclusion and more social work in the way that the workers, they don't need to, all people are open for those kind of things. You don't need to obligate people to accept it, but you can make the first step to do the possibility and show up. Okay, we're gonna try, gonna see, and we're gonna do the possibility to work with those. It's not one person that you can have in your company. You can have a group of people with eye disabilities or other kind of disabilities. It's just make the normal people think a little bit more about life. The social life is really important. We need to be more inclusive, and inclusive is just see the people as they are and accept them as they are. Look for all possibilities to let them be in the society, not only in the workplace, but around us, a normal life. They need to be more visible, because it's really important for the young people, for the old people to live with this daily, because it changes our way to think. It just, okay, it's not only work, it's not only money, it's not only have vacation in the beautiful place, but okay, just sometimes take a time, look to the sun. You are working the whole day on up behind the computer. Your eyes getting tired. Have you 10 minutes to work to look to the sun today? Something is really important. Otherwise, we get a dry eye. And that is the first step. That is something really stupid that we can say, okay, that is really simple things. But if you know that is someone else close by us, best colleague that is losing the vision, just put in the place of him. And what would you do if you would see your best friend or best colleague having an impairment or vision impairment and you don't know how to do? You would like to see him going away? No, because you know the capacities of him. Just a question to be informed, to ask for information, because there is a lot of information on the internet. It's just take the first step. Just obligate your HR group to work around it. They are the most HR people are psychologists. Then in that situation, why not you put a group or you have one or two persons in the group that is more linked to go around the problems and to try to do more inclusive work. The way to think, it's much large. And I think that you need just think a little bit larger than one thing, because everything's together. It's not the workplace, it's not the hospitals, it's not the health service. Everything is in line, because me as health professional, if I see there is a patient with a problem, and if I could immediately say, okay, go to this place to have help, to have all computers or all kind of material that you can work, and then you as an employer, and you say, okay, I would like to have those people working with me in my company. Why not? It's just give them the possibility to be included and give them the first chance to show what do.
Yeah, super powerful wish for the new year to come that we do all what you said. I think one of the follow-up of this discussion that we have today, I think, would be to have also this kind of view with an HR person in charge. And I would love you to come back so we can have this kind of fireside chat, that we have this different type of views of inclusion in the workplace environment. Because today we're talking about vision impairments, but as we are all spending our days with our earphones in front of the screen, we are more inclined of losing one of the two aspects, because we are exposed to sound, we're exposed to digital every day for I don't know how many hours. And I think it's something that we need to talk about, more inclusion in the workplace environment. So I would love to invite you in a follow-up episode where we can discuss a little bit more with an HR person. And yeah, I think this discussion that we had today was fascinating. And I love that in this podcast, that we're going to have more like a human side, not just talking about business, but talking about what is important for our business is the people that we're working with. And I think that is an aspect that we can't lose. Before we finish, do you have any more things that you want to say today? What is your closing word? What is your wish? What is your vision for 2026?
I hope that 2026 we can have a more inclusive world in all aspects. And I really would like to see it not only in the companies, the small companies, but the big companies, that the people are just putting in mind, be inclusive. It doesn't matter what kind of disability you have. If you have the possibility to give the opportunity to other people, show what they have to contribute in the growth from your company, for your team, do it. Just take it and believe, because they can do more than we think. And each of us, we can lose the vision, we can lose a leg, we can lose hands. How can we live? Do you think that if tomorrow, today, you would losing something from your body, do you think that you will be less capable than one day before? Just think about it. Give the people the opportunity to show what they can. If you have the possibility to do it, and just don't take one, take two, take three, take a group of people that can make your company much more inclusive, social, warm, And then we struggling less in thinking a lot, just give people the opportunity to show what they can, and maybe they can do much more than you think.
Yeah.
That's my message for 2020, for all the years that will come in the future. I really hope that this conversation, I would like to thank you very much for you and Tony to give me the opportunity to talk about it, because you are really the platform that represents where I would like to talk, because we are really years and years struggling, and we have a lot of technology and the basic things, the social things are getting on the other place, not in priority, but we just need to always go to the base. There is no technology, no castles without the basic things from the earth. Then we just need to think about it. Our basic things, our human being need to be more awake, and we need to look more for the others, not for only ourselves. Because sometimes the money is maybe nice, you can do a lot of things, but if you don't have the social part, if you don't have your family, if you don't have your children, if you don't have the people around you, you can have a big company, you can have a lot of money, but it doesn't have any value if you don't have the social parts and your basic things in your life. And if you are dying, it's not about your company that we're thinking. We're thinking your family that's around you, in the family, but it's really in the social life. If you have a really strong social circle, you're always with people that would like to see you grow and doing some good things for the others.
This is where we see the importance of having a community with us. We are building COCF with this vision of having a group of people that's here to support each other. So this is also totally linked with what we do.
And you can be a really example also in the health service, because in the health service you work improve the health, but we don't have a lot of teamwork. And it's so important because we are working for people, and if you can work with a team that would like to do something from the patients and just something nice, and it needs to start someone else. If you have already and you can pass this vision from all kind of companies, doesn't matter which kind of, it's really important. And I'm really happy to have the possibility to talk about it today.
Super. Thank you so much, Veronica, and we will talk soon and wish you a very nice day.
Thank you very much. I wish you a really nice 2006.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
If you might notice, we are wearing slightly different clothes for this part of the podcast. It's just because I had a reflection. I just came back from Porto for a visit and inspection for events. And I was just thinking about how we can make our events way more inclusive for vision impaired CEOs, executives, and participants for the events. And I think it's something that we need to think about in the events industry. Veronica, do you have any inputs, feedback, recommendation on how can we make our events more inclusive?
Yes, I have. I would say we could start about the location. The location is really important. If you find a place close by public transports with some parkings that is easy to be, it's nice. It helps the people to organize on the environment. It's also important to pay attention about meeting points. If there's someone else from the organization that can be present to receive those people with high disabilities on that day, it's also nice. They have the direct contact and send a message or call, receive them on the place. What I would suggest also, if it's that possible, it's not always possible, but for example, to have buddies on that can guide those people also in the meeting room and the place, that can be there in case of some situations or necessities that they need to do. It's also nice. There are some blind people, for example, they have the dog and the place needs to accept the dogs to guide them inside of the meeting room. When you talk about the presentations, for example, if the PowerPoints are on black backgrounds and the letters in white, it's much easier to read because they have more contrast. Not a lot of information on the PowerPoints. Just pay attention to put less text as possible in the way that the information can be done, not too much. Otherwise, they can't pay attention. They can't read everything on the smoothly. There is also the possibility to put on indications on the floor, or fluo color or white color, that they know where they need to go. For example, the PowerPoints that gonna be present on that day, if you can send them before for those people, it's also nice because they can read already what they will talk about. You can also do resume from the information that's gonna be done on the meeting. In the announce, you can always ask if there is some kind of things that you need to pay attention about, that you need to take in account to help them to orientate on the place. Because it's also about orientation when they are there on the room. They don't know the room. They don't know how many people are there. And they need to have a point of orientation. They need to know where they can go in case of some situation. And I would start with those kind of things they're not so difficult. Just make it more ergonomic, easier to reach.
No, it's true. I think it's also important for us to know more about our participants. And I think that's, even if it's not a health problem, we all gonna grow old and we all gonna have more difficulties to see the screen and to get all of this information. And I think also for the people who don't see colors the same way that we all should see them, I think it's also nice to not exclude them because we are using some color codes during the event. So I think it's important that this industry, the events industry, remain super inclusive, and we need to pay attention to all of these small details. As you said, it's not a lot of things to do, but it's important for the well-being and the experience of the participants. Do you have anything else that you want to add, Veronica, to discussion from last time?
I would like to share with our group. I think that we need to be more open in what is different. And I think that for sure, we need to include people with disability often in our normal life. And it's nice to understand that we are not all the same. We have different kind of motoric, sensorial problems. Maybe not now, in the future we can have it. And it's really nice that those people can be with us. We are always learning, seeing the others. And I think that they can be like the way to make our life less difficult. That is my message for us. It's bring inclusive daily. It's really important.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Veronica, for coming back to this special update, and looking forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.
Yeah.